Do any of these volleys look like something you may do, or probably you know someone that volleys in a similar way? Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm with Fundamental Tennis, and in today's video, I'm going to give you a huge fundamental tip to help you with your forehand and backhand volley technique. This tip is going to help you immensely improve your control, your precision, and power. This tip is something that I know you have not heard before, and I was volleying recently. I discovered this. I think I'm a pretty good volleyer, and when I noticed that I did this on my volley, I thought, wow, when I do the opposite of this tip, I just can't control the ball. I can't have a good volley. So when I taught my players what I discovered, what you're going to see in this video, it was incredible how they improved immediately with their control and the stability of the racket, and they just naturally figured out the right technique with this tip. And it's really cool, I thought, because I never heard anybody talk about this before. I've never heard a tennis pro mention this, and it's really a big fundamental to the volley. So if you watch the beginning of this video, you'll see that there's 3 volley techniques that I did that you want to avoid, and it's extremely likely that you have at least one of these techniques. And one of them is the flop, where the racket starts here and it just changes the angle too much. You see this is really hard to time, guys. And you see I'm rotating my arm, so this is the flop. We don't want that one. Another one you may have is the chop, where the racket starts well above the incoming ball. We make contact, and then the racket finishes much too low, almost touching the ground. So that's too much of a north-south racket path in the volley. So this stuff happens on the backhand volley and forehand volley. Now the third and final technique that I see very often that you want to avoid, and one I'm sure you've heard of, is don't swing on your volley. So it's where we take the racket too far back, large backswing, contact, and then finish with this big unnecessary follow through. No worries if you have any of these 3 volley techniques, because this tip is going to help you pretty much with any flaw in your technique. So in general, the volleys players make the volley much too complicated because the strings simply don't stay to the target before the contact, during contact, and after contact. It's that simple, guys. Backhand volley the same way. The strings need to be to the target before, during contact, and after contact, okay? And there's just so much swinging and flipping and chopping and rotating the arm and rotating the body. So I'm going to show you how to simplify this volley technique so that no matter what ball you're receiving, no matter what you're trying to do with the ball, you're going to be able to do exactly what you want. Again, power, control, and precision. This is a tip that I know you haven't heard before, so I'm excited about this one for that reason especially. Let's dive right in. All right, let's get started. So I really wanted to show off my massive guns here. So if you take a look at my forearm, I'm really flexing as much as I can. Same with my bicep. Now I'm not flexing. My arm is relaxed. And now I'm flexing again. So obviously a bit of a joke because I don't have a whole lot working there, but that is the tip for your forehand and backhand volley. I want you to flex your whole arm, mainly your forearm, during the contact phase of your volleys. What this is going to do is it's going to improve your overall technique of your volleys without getting bogged down on, where does my elbow go, where does the racket finish. It's going to help get you to naturally do the right volley technique, and that includes things like preventing the swing. Also, it's going to help you to not rotate the arm. It's going to help you to maintain this arm structure and not straighten it or bend it more so it stays that way throughout the hit. So it's going to mainly, the best thing I feel about flexing the arm, especially the forearm during the contact phase, is it's going to help stabilize the racket. So the racket is going to stay, racket face will stay at this angle throughout the contact. And I've talked a lot about how complicated people make the volley with the rotating the arm and the swinging and the chopping. So it's going to help you with your overall technique. And it's funny because at the baseline, so many people are just death gripping it, holding the grip so tight, and they just look so robotic. And then when they come to the net, it's quite the opposite. they're too loose with their wrist. They're too loose with their arm. They end up swinging. It ends up looking too much like a ground stroke. So important to note that your hitting hand should hold the grip fairly loose. You don't want a very tight grip tension. Flex the forearm, hitting hand loose. Okay, so I want you to look at these couple clips of my forehand volley and backhand volley and just look at how good the technique is, simply because I am flexing during the contact phase. You'll see my racket is very stable, the strings stay to the target. It's a very simple volley, and it's just very easy to get that control and power you're looking for. All right, so watch here. I'm gonna flex my arm, especially the forearm, on the first volley here. You see how stable that was, how clean it looked? Now, this next volley, I'm gonna volley with my arm loose and a loose wrist, and I'm just gonna let the racket take over, which is not so good. Take a look at this. You notice I didn't try to do that when I flipped my racket forward. I just totally lost the control of my racket because I didn't flex. You've got to flex, guys. If you want control of your volley, you want to put it exactly where you want it, you've got to flex that forearm. Take a look at one more here. This one I'm going to do correctly. I'm going to flex from here, boom. I mean, it just happens on its own. It happens on its own. It's a natural way to do the right technique without thinking too much. Flex just before, during, and after contact, just like that. Let's do the backhand volley. Same thing, you're gonna flex the whole hitting arm. It's even more important to do this on the backhand volley because your hand is in front of the grip here as opposed to behind the grip as it is on the forehand volley. So you have less stability, less strength on the backhand volley. So even more important to stabilize that racket and hand and wrist by flexing the forearm. So just like the forehand volley, you'll see the first backhand volley, I'm going to show you the correct way in which I flex. Second volley, I'm not going to flex, and you'll see the totally different technique. And then the third volley, I'll show you again the correct way. So check this out. We want to show our opponents our muscles by flexing. Here we go. Okay, now here's one where I don't flex. Did not feel so good, and the result was not good. All right, and that's the correct way. So by controlling the racket, you control the ball. When you don't flex, you are not controlling the racket. We want to flex so we stabilize that racket and get that ball to go right where you want it to go. Now we're going to do the progressions, and as all progressions should be, we're going to start with the easiest task and work our way up to the most difficult task. So in the first progression here, I'm going to be about 2 steps from the net. I'm going to start with the forehand volley. I'll also show you backhand volley. You're going to start at contact before the ball even comes, and you're just going to simply let the ball hit your strings. You're not going to move your racket an inch. This progression is just to get you to be more familiar and just feel what it's like to get this flex during the contact. So check this out. 2 steps from the net. Start here. Just let the ball hit the racket. Really got to resist the urge to want to swing. Okay, just give it a flex and flex. Backhand volley, same thing. Start at contact before the ball comes and flex and flex. So after that progression, you're then going to go about halfway between the net and the service line, and you're going to start again at contact, at your eventual contact, and you're just going to move your racket about a foot this time as opposed to just leaving the racket there. So forehand volley, start here, move my racket a foot, make sure that you're getting that flex during the contact phase. One more time, and then I'll show you the backhand volley. Just move that racket a foot and flex, start at contact, and flex. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're simply going to start in the ready position and just alternate ready position, move the racket a foot, the next one, You start here before the ball comes, move the racket a foot, and again, back to starting from the ready position. So it's going to look like this. First, when I start from ready, move the racket a foot. Now I'm going to start here, move the racket a foot with my flex, same with the backhand volley, and flex, a little too much swing that time maybe, and flex. So the last progression is you're going to go to the service line or a step behind the service line, and you're just going to lengthen your racket path another foot or two, keeping that flex in there. So you're just adding length to your racket path on the forehand and backhand volleys, and then eventually when you're ready you can receive fast balls, low balls, high balls, slow balls, spinny balls. That way you can start to adapt to the ball that you're receiving and the ball that you're sending. So then you get into more of an open environment practicing this new volley technique in which you can do a practice match and get into a tournament, and you'll have it eventually a habit, and this is going to become a habit fast, guys, because anytime people get very quick success, they tend to keep it because they understand that it really helps them. And when you like something, which you will like this, as it's going to help you tremendously, you're going to make that a habit very quickly. Again, I'm Jeremy. I'm with Fundamental Tennis. Please like and subscribe. I come out with a new video every week. So every week on a Saturday, the video will be posted. Would love to have you check out more of my videos. And when you're at the net, don't forget to show off your muscles when you volley.